Alex Call. I believe he's about 30 years old. He's an outfielder. So this is a great opportunity for him. He's coming from the Nationals. He's probably going to be making, according to this, because he's being traded near the midpoint of the season. So about 385,550, considering that he's already been paid about 243,000 by the Nationals. Coming up next is Brock Stewart, who used to be a Dodger, probably going to be in a position to buy. So I think Alex Call and Brock Stewart, I think based on that, they're probably going to be buying some property. When you're looking to buy property, you want to base it off of your income. And a lot of that takes place of understanding your expenses, how much you have for housing expenses, right? So you can afford to pay per month, and of course the down payment. I suspect these ball players are at least going to put 20% down for the purposes of not having PMI. And you always want to put more down so you have a less payment per month, right? So I think that's what they're going to be doing. And considering what loan officers do is they look at the debt to income ratio. Now it ranges from like a financial advisor is going to want you to be the lower the better, so 28% to maybe 30, 32%. But the reality is when it comes to the overall DTI, I've seen it range from like 38 at best case to about 47%, but that's on the verge of like red line, so I don't recommend that. Maybe more like 45. Nice view, that's epic. Nice house. Traditional. Ooh, cabana. If you're not by the beach, you're gonna want a pool. So let's go to Studio City now. Mid-century modern. Hey, welcome back to the Full Count Podcast. Today's topic is Dodger trades have taken place where they've got new players, and we're going to be predicting where these players are going to be buying property based on location and based on their contract in terms of how much they're making per year. So that will kind of give us an idea of where they're going to be buying based on debt to income ratio. But first, I want to talk about something I watched earlier this week with Brandon Schaub and Rampage talking on a podcast where Brandon Schaub, the UFC fighter and now the influencer, had mentioned that the high five became that iconic hand gesture for the first time ever back with Dusty Baker, who at the time was a Dodger.
Dusty Baker invented the high five. I didn't believe it either, but this is real. He was like, why are we always going low with it? Come up high, fellas. And he was the first one to do a high five. He gets credit for it. I'm not even trying to be funny.
No, I heard
Dusty
that.
Baker invented
I heard
the
it,
high
but I
five.
couldn't remember the guy's name.
Rob Dyrdek told me that.
Brandon Schaub was almost on the money, but it was actually Glenn Burke.
That was in the 70s, right?
Shit, even 60s.
Maybe,
Dusty
yeah,
Baker,
maybe way
yeah.
before that.
It was 60s?
I think so.
The
Because
mid-60s?
he was playing.
And it happened in 1977, not in the 60s. But either way, that was something really cool for me to hear because I didn't know that. And it happened to be the Dodgers. So let's go ahead and get into it. Alex Freeland is a 23-year-old, so he's a very young guy. He was at AAA for the Dodgers in their farm system. He's a great infielder from what I understand. And they need him because Hyun Kim, I think that's how you pronounce it, and some of the other ball players of the Dodgers are injured or not doing well. So they're going to bring this guy in and see what he can do because he's a utility player. So he's so brand new. We don't know his income in terms of how much he's making, but I'm going to say he's going to lease for this season and next season if he ends up staying in the show. So congratulations to him for getting in the show, but I don't suspect he's going to be purchasing a property anytime soon considering his age and considering we don't know how much money he's making, but this is a great moment for him. I'm sure he'll stay in the show or he might go back and forth, but either way, it's a big deal. Very young dude. In any case, we're going to move on to the next subject, and that one happened, not the subject, next player, I mean, and that's Alex Call. I believe he's about 30 years old. He's an outfielder. So this is a great opportunity for him. He's coming from the Nationals. So next season, he's eligible for salary arbitration. So he'll have the ability to get more negotiation so he can make more income. But from what I understand, and I use Grok too, but from what I understand, at the time that he signed with the Nationals for that one-year deal, he was getting about $769,000. So I'm going to pull up Grok here so it can kind of help me break this down a little bit further so we can all have a better idea of how much he's really going to be making. Essentially, for the 2025 season, his original contract was $769,100, and that was when he signed with the Nationals. And essentially, now that he's adjusting his salary and things like that, he's probably going to be making, according to this, because he's being traded near the midpoint of the season, and they're going to cover about half of that salary, so about 385,550, considering that he's already been paid about 243,000 by the Nationals. So overall, he's making decent income. Very young guy either way. So I think he's going to be doing relatively well. He more than likely is going to be buying property potentially. It all depends on his demeanor and things like that we see, and how his agent and things like that, on how they're going to do with having him stay on the Dodgers. And if he is, then I think he's definitely going to buy property. Coming up next is Brock Stewart, who used to be a Dodger. He got his first opportunity about 10 years ago, more like 11 years ago, to the show. And he was a pitcher, and still is, obviously. But at the time, he was with the Dodgers, and then he ended up coming back to the Dodgers from the Twins. And from what I understand, his contract that he signed with the Twins was about 810 or 870,000 or so. To put into perspective, from what I see here through Grok, they've already probably paid him about 275,000 for the season. So again, he's at like that midpoint of his career or of the season, and he's probably going to be making about 594,000 from the time till August 1st till the end of season. So again, that's a lot of money. Considering if he does stay on the team, he's probably going to be in a position to buy. So I think Alex Call and Brock Stewart, I think based on that, they're probably going to be buying some property. When you're looking to buy property, you want to base it off of your income. And a lot of that takes place of understanding your expenses, how much you have for housing expenses, right? So you can afford to pay per month, and of course the down payment. I suspect these ball players are at least going to put 20% down for the purposes of not having PMI. And you always want to put more down so you have a less payment per month, right? So I think that's what they're going to be doing. And considering what loan officers do is they look at the debt to income ratio. Now it ranges from like a financial advisor is going to want you to be the lower the better, so 28% to maybe 30, 32%. But the reality is when it comes to the overall DTI, I've seen it range from like 38 at best case to about 47%, but that's on the verge of like red line, so I don't recommend that. Maybe more like 45. But in this case, I think you know, it all depends, but I think they'll be putting about 20% down. So let's just assume, as I said, Alex Call and Brock Stewart are making at least 500,000 for the season for the most part. Considering they do purchase, let's consider more on a conservative value that they're going to be using a $400,000 income for the year. So if they're going to be buying a 400,000, or if they're going to have that $400,000 income, you divide it by 12 months, that's about $33,000 per month in income, right? If you utilize it per month. What I want to utilize is the housing expense. If they want to keep their housing expense at 33% ratio of what they're going to be paying out per month on just housing alone, that comes down to basically $11,000, $10,999. Now you got to get into perspective on the overall total debt to income ratio, where you include like car loans and student loans and things like that. So it could go up to like 42% in this case, but I use 33%. Let's say a 42% debt to income ratio. If they're able to do the housing expense at least at $11,000, as I had mentioned, because you do 400,000 divided by 12 months is $33,333, and you utilize that and multiply it by 33% for the housing expenses, that's $11,000. So if they're going to be on the conservative side, they can afford a $1.6 million home, and that is because the payment per month is going to be probably under 10%. If they get a 5.9% interest rate because they probably have a really good credit score and their financial guy has really hooked them up and they have a good system with their banker or their whatever mortgage broker, it's probably going to be about that, under 10. So if they can afford that, put $320,000 down because it's 20%, they could easily afford a $1.6 million home. Now, I didn't go really high because, again, they only have that 1 year contract and they're going to have the ability to probably do something else and get paid way more. But just being on the conservative side, I think their possibilities of buying is going to be in that spot. If you're trying to stay within a good location, being close to the Dodger Stadium because of commuting purposes is very important. Let's take a look at the homes that he could probably get into. So I did an overall search, right? So we have the Dodger Stadium right here in Echo Park. So the surrounding areas that would be ideal for Alex Call or Brock Stewart, so they can have easy commute, would probably be places like Glendale, Pasadena, Los Feliz, Studio City, Hollywood Hills. So we have a list of 24 homes that came up. So let's take a quick look at those. But you know what? I think they want a pool, right? I mean, it's going to be hot. So if we do pool, it narrows it down to only 4. So damn. Uh, Hollywood Hills, Studio City's gone because if a house with the pool is going to be over 1.6, so we're going to have to stay more on the east side, which there's nothing wrong with that, but they still have a great commute, easy commute to the Dodger Stadium. So check it out. Dodger Stadium's right here in Echo Park. You know what? Mount Washington's a good spot too. That's actually a really cool spot. If you ever seen Lincoln Lawyer, the property that they utilized with Matthew McConaughey and also the show, it was in Mount Washington. With it basically looked like the Hollywood Hills because it is in the hill area, and he had an incredible view of downtown LA. So let's say that he may want to go to Mount Washington. One of them, anyways. No, nothing came up. So, anyways, we'll stick to what we have here. We have Glendale, as you can see here. We have Pasadena, and we have Glendale again. So, given the size, 3 bed, 2 bath, 1,800 square feet, I don't know how tall Alex Call or Brock Stewart are. Considering Brock Stewart's a pitcher, he's probably pretty tall. So, I'm going to take that into consideration in terms of height for the ceilings. But let's take a quick look at this one for 1.575, 3 bed, 2 bath, 1,800 square feet. I'm going to unfortunately say no earlier, but this character here with the fireplace looks like a dual fireplace. That's kind of cool. Actually, no, it's not a dual fireplace. That's a TV. But anyways, this is cool. This this room here with the beams. It's actually not bad. This is an okay property, but given the ceilings, I don't think it's for them. So let me say no. That's a no. So we have this in Pasadena, 3 bed, 2 baths, relatively the same size, 1,800 square feet, typical home. This beam right here is kind of awkward. I feel like a baseball player is not going to like that. So as young as Alex Call is, it's probably going to be a no. So scratch that. Okay, Pasadena, close to the 134 freeway. That could be helpful. Looks like it's on perched on a hill, so that's kind of convenient. Private. Some yard space there. Ceiling looks a little normal. It's probably short, except for that drop down from the main entrance. It drops down to the living room, so that at least gives it that ability to have some more of that height. But this is not bad. It's like a good bachelor pad, I guess you could say, considering it's like modern. But this is the nice living room. It needs some work. Definitely needs some work because of the flooring and bathrooms and those parts. Nice covered patio. Pool. It could be something good. I don't think Brock Stewart would go with something like that though. It's looking like Alex Call is the only one that's probably going to be able to purchase because of his lifestyle. The size of the home is okay. I think Brock Stewart's probably going to want something a little bit more grand. Being 30, Alex Call, I think he's got more ability to kind of live, more normal, I guess you could say. Especially like Alex Freeland, he's too young to probably purchase, but maybe, since he's young though, geez, I'm like going back and forth. He might want something more baller, so he'll probably wait Alex Freeland until he gets a really big bump in pay. Same thing with Alex Call though, to be honest with you, because he's probably gonna after his salary arbitration, he's gonna want to get some more bucks and buy something more grand. So I might be walking back here, guys, and thinking that neither of these people are going to be buying property. This one is a 1.65, 4 bed, 3 bath, almost or 2,500 square feet. This is cool. The balcony looking out to the back. I'm gonna say, guys, unfortunately, I think we're gonna have to raise that price point. Reason being is I said 1.6 if you wanted to be more on the conservative side, considering the housing expenses was only 33%. This is what he can do. They can either put more percent down, so the debt to income ratio, even if you go on a higher price, will still give them the ability to have a lower debt to income ratio. So they could put 30 to 50%. So in reality, they're probably going to buy a $2 million home. So let's check out what a 2 million, let's say 2.2, the better price point. I'm going to go to 2 million to 225. This is probably more in their ballpark range. So now we're looking at Glendale and Pasadena. There's only 4 I see here. Here we go. Okay, traditional. Ooh, tennis court. Oh, it got me. So that's like the association. It's got a pool. I don't think this is gonna work. Nice view. That's epic. Nice house. Traditional. Ooh, cabana. But anyways, I don't think that's gonna work. You need a pool in the backyard, guys. I know that. If you're not by the beach, you're gonna be by the. You're gonna want a pool. So let's go to Studio City now. Mid-century modern. Ooh, these ceilings. I don't know about the color. Maybe paint it, but this is a good one. View. Okay, okay. Not bad. All right, guys. I think this is probably our winner. So for 2199, 5 bed, 3 baths, so they can have friends over, 3,300 square feet with a balcony and a view. Oh yeah, this is what a Major League Baseball player, a young person, would probably buy if they're trying to stick within their means. Even if like Alex Call or Alex Freeland were to get a bigger contract, they would probably, more than likely with their like financial advisor would tell them not to spend too much. So I suspect this could work for one of those guys. And more importantly, oh look, walk-in closet from the primary. It's got a pool. Now here's the thing: when it comes with the home that has a pool like this, it's kind of interesting because you do have all the decking, but a lot of people don't end up using their pool, which is interesting. Everyone wants a pool, but a lot of times I hear that they don't use it all the time and it's just an expense. But when it comes to like someone like an athlete, I think they're going to use it and they have the means to pay for maintenance and not have an issue with it. Especially if you're young, you're going to have your friends come over. So this is cool. I could definitely see Alex Call or Alex Freeland living in something like this. Even Brock Stewart, to be honest. I think we found a winner here. So that's Studio City. Then we got Glendale. This one doesn't look like it's gonna work. Yeah, needs some help. So no. Pasadena. This could work for like probably Brock Stewart maybe. The ceilings here are shorter, it looks like, than from that other 2.2 in Studio City. I feel like I'm a good judge of character now in terms of like knowing what a client's gonna want. Not that they're my client. I would love for them to be, since I'm a realtor, of course, as you guys know, but I would have to like sit down and talk to them to see like what they really like and what kind of goal and lifestyle they have. But look, it's a corner lot, wide streets. Oh, it's in front of a park though. I think for privacy purposes, that's gonna be a no. Again, I'm sticking into a level of like being very conservative with your money and not overspending. So that's what I suspect. Now, if they wanted to open up their budget, I could show you some baller pads in the $5 million range, but I'm not going to. Let's say Alex Freeland or Alex Call are willing to make a long commute and live in like Hermosa Beach or Redondo Beach. Given the fact that this would be a home anyways, um, close to the water, there's no way we're gonna be able to have a pool because that's just not the vibe down there. You don't really have a pool unless you're in a 10 plus million or way more actually in like Hermosa Beach Hills or Manhattan Beach Hills, that's where you get a pool. So let's put no here. And only one comes up. Wow. Why only one? Really? I feel like there's more, but you know what? I'm not going to put too much energy in that, but this is Redondo. No, that's a no. It's too basic for them, anyways. Wow. Let's open it up to 1.5 million. That's what it was. To 225, this price range. Okay, now we got 13. This is what we're looking for. So as you're listening, the audience, I'm basically going through and showing properties that they would consider purchasing based on budget. So this is in Hermosa Beach on 7th Street. This is Hermosa Beach East, so you're almost basically adjacent to Redondo. Stairs, so if you're young, this is something you're gonna like. This could work. This is a good contender. I still think the Studio City one might be better for them because of commuting, and this isn't like extra good considering the commute. I think it's got to be better than that Studio City one, but let's look at this Redondo one. Okay, nice ceilings, tall. Not tall in the kitchen. 3 bed, 2 bath. No. This could work maybe for Brock. And I spoke too soon. It's dated. That's gonna be a no. All right, let me just like scroll through. No. This is less expensive, so. No, I don't think so. Nope. Okay, so it appears that we're going to have to stick with that Studio City house. So that was the spot to be. If I was going to be their agent, I would say to all three of them, if they want to live below their means and they're planning to stay here for a couple years and all that, and they don't need a huge badass pad or anything like that, I would say that Studio City one for 2.2 would be ideal. I think the price value would go up. You have those high ceilings, you have the character with the mid-century modern, and you're still going to be paying a mortgage payment not too high. They put 20% down, 30-year mortgage, 5.9% interest rate. They'll be paying $12,217 per month, considering property taxes, principal and interest, and insurance, and homeowners insurance. So we're looking around $12,200. It's still well within their means, considering if you look at a $400,000 income divided by 12, that's 33,000 per month. And if they're going to use their housing expense at 33% solely for that, that's 11,000. And if they use total debt like student loans, car loans, this is well below like 45% debt to income ratio total if they were to spend 12,000 per month. So there we have it, guys. I think we just found out that would be the price point. 2.2, $12,000 per month if you put 20% down. So I hope you enjoyed this today. I hope you also got to learn that where the high five came from Glenn Burke, not Dusty Baker, Brendan Shaw, but thank you for bringing that up to me. And now the audience can learn as well. I had no idea 1977 is when it came out. So have a good day, everyone. Comment, like, subscribe. We'll probably do a similar one, or I will, or my team, where we'll talk about the trades with the Angels and the Padres and see where they might have purchased property, or where we predict is what I mean. They're going to purchase based on contract, how much they're making, their commute to work, the length of time, and usually the age and their whole lifestyle. So have a good one, guys, and share this. Thank you.